Where's your freaking camera?
Camera's right here, and it's rolling.
Really?
Yes.
Karens aren't just a headache for us everyday folks. They're a real pain for the cops, too. From the biting Karens...
Please step out the car. You're under arrest. Step out the car.
No, he's not. Stop playing.
Step out the car.
To the notorious crotch-kickers. These characters don't hold back when it comes to stirring up trouble. It makes you wonder, what is it about these encounters that makes them think they can take on authority? 1. This one's a biter.
I am nowhere near you.
You're choking me, you.
Can you please open your mouth for me so I can make sure you don't have to
Please
think?
open your mouth and shut the up.
You get out of me, you mother.
Debbie, I will kill you.
Meet Deborah Odom, who got herself pulled over for driving like she was practicing for a stunt reel. But instead of cooperating, she immediately turned up the sass. Ignoring the officer's polite request to put her car in park, she insisted her driving was just fine and definitely didn't need a timeout on the side of the road.
Put your car in park. Put your car in park.
No.
Car in park now.
Why?
Ma'am, put your car in park.
Why?
When the officer explained that she was being lawfully detained, she just wasn't having it. Odom flat out refused to step out of her car, choosing instead to whip out her phone and start recording, launching into a whole sob story about recovering from breast cancer surgery. And while that's tough, the officer couldn't help but wonder, what does that have to do with getting pulled over for erratic driving?
And these people have stopped me.
To top it off, there was the smell of alcohol drifting through her window. Clearly, Odom wasn't going to make the next few steps easy. As the cop tried to walk her through a field sobriety test, she couldn't focus, and her phone recording took center stage. At one point, when she tried to snatch her license back, it was game over, straight to handcuffs. Then came the next level. Deborah started yelling, "You're hurting me," on repeat, despite the officers following protocol.
You're hurting me! You're hurting me! You're hurting me! You're hurting me! You're hurting me!
Inside her car, they found an open bottle of wine, which, let's just say, explained the erratic driving. And once they got her into the police vehicle, she started making it sound like the cops were choking her. Cue more drama and shouting. But Deborah wasn't done. Once in the holding room, she tried to bite the deputy. Yes, you heard that right. She kept up with the "you're choking me" act, getting louder and more over the top.
Get off of me!
Deb?
Get off of me!
Relax, Deb.
Get off of me!
Relax.
To the point where it looked like she was putting on some kind of performance. For anyone watching, her tantrum might have been worthy of an Oscar nod. But in reality, Deborah just wasn't cooperating with anything. Like and subscribe for more crazy tales of Karens getting into it with the cops. 2. The knee-jerk reaction. It started off like any other late-night stop. Officers asked a woman to go through some field sobriety tests after she admitted to having a drink earlier in the evening.
Okay. So how much have you had to drink today?
I had a drink at like 5, 6 o'clock.
Other substances, anything else? No?
I drink like maybe like 3, 4 times a year.
All she could talk about, though, were her dogs back home, which seemed to be her top priority as the cops went through their routine.
Sorry,
That's it.
thinking about my dog.
You thinking about your dog?
Yeah.
Why are you thinking about your dog?
Because he eats dinner at 10 o'clock. I'm a little late today.
Things got rowdy when she resisted the arrest. As officers tried to get her under control, she suddenly threw her knee right into one officer's crotch. Ouch. It was a low blow, literally.
No. One fighting.
Yo, I haven't done anything!
And probably made the officers rethink how they'd approach her next. Even while the officers attempted to handle the situation, she wasn't about to go quietly. She kept calling out for her dogs, insisting that she hadn't done anything wrong and refusing to calm down.
About my dog, you asshole.
55.
You probably beat your woman, you stupid bitch.
Alright, are you gonna stand up nice?
Throwing a steady stream of choice words at the cops, she made sure everyone knew she wasn't happy about any of it. For a sobriety test gone sideways, this scene turned into one intense, dog-centered drama. 3. The DMV Smackdown. Only in Florida, right? Eleanor Stern, a 31-year-old with zero chill and apparently no ID, turned a simple DMV visit in Deerfield Beach into her very own wrestling match. So, here's the backstory. Eleanor's there to sort out her missing ID, but didn't bring the paperwork she needed, and instead of leaving like a normal person, she decided it was time to throw down.
Listen to me.
Enter the trooper. Eleanor starts getting wild, refusing to leave, and eventually throws a kick right at the trooper. Yes, she actually went for a full Ronda Rousey moment, kicking the trooper's crotch. Clearly not her best move. The trooper quickly went into action, trying to pin her down.
God, you can't even fight.
But Eleanor wasn't tapping out just yet. She wriggled her way free, yelling every insult in the book at anyone listening.
You can't even fight. Protect us. Get this.
Including the DMV customers who had their phones out recording every move. And just when you'd think she'd settle, Eleanor decided it was time for round 3. She gave one last cry for help, threw out a few more choice words, and finally got herself cuffed after what seemed like a lifetime of back and forth. After all that, Eleanor walked away with a resisting arrest charge. But hey, she's got a new mugshot that will definitely stand out from her original ID. 4. The real-life Houdini. Cops get a welfare call about a woman acting, let's just say, a little too close to her canine side, crawling around and barking.
Friday, Grady County Sheriff's deputies performed a welfare check on a woman found crawling around someone's yard while barking, according to the charging documents filed in court.
So, to keep things safe, they put her in cuffs and in the back of the squad car. Somehow, she manages to shimmy her way out of those cuffs, like a full-on Houdini moment. And instead of making a break for it, she finds a compartment marked gun in the car and opens it. Yes, you heard that right. She's somehow free in the back of a police car, and now holding a weapon. Without really knowing how it works, she pulls the trigger and things spiral into chaos. Bullets go flying, and in the mayhem, one civilian catches a round in the chest, and a deputy barely dodges one too. Total confusion. The cops are just trying to make sense of how a welfare check turned into this. An hour-long standoff later, she finally surrenders, leaving everyone wondering how things got so out of control so fast. From welfare check to Wild West showdown, this one's got it all. 5. Mama Bear with a punch. Officers in New Mexico respond to a crash scene, expecting the usual DUI suspects, but things take a turn when they find a woman clutching her baby in the aftermath of a suspected drunk driving accident.
When they found the woman, they say she was holding the baby when the crash happened. They tried several times to take the child, but the woman refused.
Despite the officers' attempts to reason with her, she holds tight to the baby, refusing to let anyone take the child.
You don't have a choice.
Even after they explain he needs a quick medical checkup, she's not budging, insisting over and over that he's totally fine. After what probably felt like forever, she finally hands the baby over. But just when it seems like things are cooling off, she switches gears and starts throwing punches, right at the officers. It's a full-on scene as she keeps swinging, forcing them to restrain her. It's a wild turn, leaving the officers with no choice but to put her in cuffs. In the end, the baby is safe and now in the care of state authorities. This mama bear may have meant well, but things really spiraled, turning a standard response into a serious showdown. 6. Intoxicated and unruly. On April 19, 2024, a Florida woman found herself in a bit of a pickle after a night of heavy drinking. When the cops arrived, it was clear she was 3 sheets to the wind, struggling to keep her balance and forming sentences that barely made sense. Her erratic behavior was a head-scratcher.
Let me leave the premises?
No, ma'am.
No, no, no.
No, ma'am.
Oh.
Check this out. How about you come lean on this patrol car real quick, okay?
No.
Because you're falling over, okay? And I want you to get out of the car. Yes.
Really?
Yes. You're
Where's
leaning
your
back and
where's your freaking camera?
forth. Camera's
Yo?
right here, and it's rolling.
Really?
Yes.
And the officers remained surprisingly calm, showing more restraint than most could muster in the situation. As the interaction unfolded, she became increasingly emotional, turning on the waterworks and yelling, "Are you going to read me my rights?"
Let me go home.
No, ma'am. Ma'am, you've got a severely cut up hand, okay? You're bleeding there.
Really? Why?
Ma'am?
Why? Why do I have a severely cut up hand? Why?
That's what we're trying to find out.
Yeah.
It's like she was auditioning for a dramatic role in a courtroom drama, but the only thing missing was a script. Eventually, they did read her rights, but not before she wailed like a siren, adding a soundtrack to this chaotic scene. When it was time to get into the cop car, she transformed into a human barricade, refusing to budge. It took some serious effort to get her inside, and it was almost like trying to load a stubborn pet into a car.
Have a seat? Am I
a seat.
dog? Am I a dog?
Have a seat, ma'am.
Am I a dog?
What's your head in the hand?
Wait till he gets in there. You in there?
Yep. You're coming in. You're coming in.
While she wasn't exactly swinging punches once secured, she started banging her head against the interior of the car like a rock star at a heavy metal concert, forcing the officer to pull over and check on her well-being. But instead of calming down, she took a swing and kicked the officer.
You!
Stop banging. No. Stop banging me.
No!
Stop.
You let me out!
In the end, this lady may not have been the most dangerous Karen, but she sure brought a theatrical flair to her run-in with the law, leaving everyone wondering what on earth just happened. 7. Karen's Walmart meltdown. Now, this scene in a Florida Walmart went from casual shopping to all-out chaos. So, here's the setup. A woman storms into the store, clutching a brick and seriously threatening customers. She's clearly not there for a sale. In no time, the scene turns tense as officers arrive to contain the situation, finding her holding not just that brick, but also a knife. The whole thing's caught on body cam. She's standing there, barely moving a muscle while a deputy points his gun her way, ordering her to drop the weapon again and again.
The knife now! Drop it.
But this woman isn't cooperating, not even a bit. She just stands her ground, totally unfazed. After what feels like forever, the officers end it with a quick taser action, finally bringing her down safely.
Drop the knife now!
Later, reports reveal that she'd used meth earlier in the day, and now she's charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. That Walmart crowd probably got more action than they ever expected, but at least everyone walked out okay. 8. The Great Escape. This wild encounter left us all wondering, is this woman a classic Karen, or just someone losing their cool? Either way, she certainly had some nerve when she decided to drag a police officer along for the ride. Literally.
You want it again? No, please! Get out of the car!
The scene unfolded dramatically when the officer approached her car, ready to make an arrest. But instead of complying, she flung open the door and bolted back inside, clearly not wanting to go quietly. As she tried to pull a fast one by lying about her identity, the officer had to act quickly. He deployed his taser, but that didn't stop her. In an unexpected twist, she revved the engine and took off, leaving the officer clinging to the car in a desperate attempt to pull her out. The situation escalated quickly. The officer stumbled and fell as the car sped away, leaving everyone watching in disbelief. Was she just panicking or channeling her inner Karen as she made a run for it? Whatever the case, this was one chaotic getaway that certainly wasn't on the officer's to-do list for the day. 9. The out-of-control girlfriend. What began as a routine traffic stop on April 13, 2021, quickly spiraled into a chaotic showdown between law enforcement and an irate girlfriend. The officer pulled over a vehicle after discovering that the driver, McCoy Jones, had an active warrant. As the officer calmly informed McCoy that he was under arrest, his girlfriend leaped into action, shouting, "No, he's not."
Please step out the car. You're under arrest. Step out the car.
No, he's not. Stop playing.
Step out the car.
Why?
Stay in the car.
Okay, relax, stay in the car.
As if she had any authority in the situation. Cue the dramatic music because this girl wasn't just going to sit back and let the cops do their job. In a flash, she was out of the car, tossing her jacket aside like she was gearing up for a showdown. Seriously?
Stay in the car! Stay in the car!
Really?
Stay in the car!
Who does she think she is? As she charged at the officers, it became clear that this wasn't going to end peacefully. The cops, realizing they had to act fast, managed to restrain her before she could do any real damage. But things took a turn for the wild when, in the midst of the struggle, she bit one of the officers on the arm. It's almost comical. Are these Karens secretly part-time biters or something? 10. The Family Feud Fiasco. On October 6, 2021, a domestic disturbance turned into a real-life episode of Who's Who when officers responded to a call about an argument between a woman named Jennifer and her mother, Kelly.
Okay, who is this? Who's Kelly?
I don't. So, okay, my mom, but she keeps going that she's not and she is. She's not and she is. So, anyways, I borrowed her some money.
The drama kicked off over money, but it seemed like the family tree was a bit twisted. Kelly couldn't even decide if she was really Jennifer's mom or not. Talk about a confusing family dynamic. When the cops arrived, Jennifer appeared to be in a bit of a daze. She flat out denied that any fight took place, despite the fact that they were standing there because someone called them. Honestly, who does that? She kept insisting she didn't know Kelly, claiming she'd never even met her before. With all this back and forth, it's no wonder the officers were left scratching their heads. After some resistance, the officers finally managed to get her into the cop car, but it wasn't easy. In the midst of the struggle, Jennifer somehow managed to bite one of the officers, breaking skin. So, while she might have been confused about her family ties, she sure knew how to make a memorable exit from this chaotic situation. 11. The Great Escape Attempt. When police confronted a woman suspected of domestic violence, they clearly had their work cut out for them. After asking her to step out of the car, the situation quickly escalated. The officer, growing increasingly frustrated, warned her that if she didn't comply, he'd have to break the window.
What's your name?
Stay away from me.
Here's the deal. You can either come out of the car or I'm going to break out the window.
But guess what? She still refused to budge. Things took a crazy turn when, in a fit of defiance, she decided to make a break for it. Instead of just driving off, she rammed her car into a police cruiser. Talk about adding insult to injury. As if that wasn't enough, she then collided with another police vehicle. At this point, the officer had no choice but to take matters into his own hands, literally breaking the window to pull her out.
Get out of the car! Get out! Get out!
According to the police report, it seems they believed she was under the influence of both medication and narcotics, and she didn't deny it. Now, she's sitting pretty in the Stark County Jail, facing a hefty $100,000 bond, with a laundry list of charges, including felonious assault, felony obstruction, unlawful restraint, resisting arrest, and operating a vehicle impaired. This Karen's wild ride took a serious detour straight to incarceration. 12. Karen Goes Full Throttle. Sean Malarkey, 45, took going full Karen to a whole new level when she allegedly hit her ex-husband with her car. When police showed up to serve an arrest warrant, things escalated quickly. Sean decided that complying wasn't in her game plan and refused to exit her vehicle, forcing an officer to physically pull her out. Even as he repeatedly told her, "You're under arrest," she flat out rejected the idea. Like, hello?
Get out of the car.
No.
You're under arrest.
No, I am not.
Yes, you are.
No, I am not.
Yes, you are.
This isn't a negotiation. Threats of being tased didn't even faze her. When the officers managed to drag her out of the car, she went all out, putting up a fierce struggle. Once they finally got her to the cop car, she dug in her heels, literally refusing to step inside. They had to put some muscle into it to get her settled, but just when they thought they had her contained, she popped back out again. That's when things took a wild turn. Sean started yelling at the officers to get their hands off her, and then she did the unthinkable. She bit one of them. Thankfully, they managed to secure this feisty Karen back in the car. Now, she's facing some serious charges, including aggravated DUI, this being her third violation, which means mandatory jail time, aggravated assault, and resisting arrest. Looks like Karen's antics are catching up with her. 13. The butcher knife standoff. On November 20th, 2023, a bizarre and tense scene unfolded in Sacramento, California, leading to an officer-involved shooting that had everyone on edge. It all started when 24-year-old Kiriana Rebecca Lyles called 911, claiming she heard her dog barking in a neighbor's yard. But instead of a heartwarming reunion, what followed was a chaotic series of events. When officers arrived at the scene, they found Lyles armed with multiple butcher knives. She was apparently on a mission to locate her dog, but had approached her neighbors in a rather aggressive manner. When the police attempted to make contact, she was found sitting in her car with her dog, refusing to open the door. Finally, when she did decide to crack the door open, the situation escalated rapidly. Lyles refused to cooperate, and in an alarming twist, she put the car in reverse while an officer held onto her hand. That's when things took a dangerous turn. She sped away, driving straight at a deputy who was in hot pursuit through her front yard. In a split second, the situation escalated into a life-threatening confrontation. Fearing for their safety, the officer fired 7 rounds in Lyles' direction, with his partner also discharging his weapon 3 times towards the vehicle. This incident serves as a chilling reminder of how quickly a routine call can turn into chaos, leaving both the officers and the public in shock. With Lyles refusing to comply and brandishing knives, the stakes were high, and the officers had no choice but to act in what they perceived to be a dire situation. 14. Rampage on wheels. It all began with a woman attacking a firefighter through the window of his truck. Jessica Chavez, 36, wasn't just making a scene, she was unleashing chaos. Despite the firefighters' attempts to de-escalate the situation, Chavez escalated her aggression, setting off a chain of events that would shock everyone nearby. After the initial confrontation, she made a weird decision to circle the block twice, only to return with a mission. In a reckless display of defiance, she deliberately crashed her vehicle into the firefighter's truck. But that wasn't the end of it. She also rammed into an undercover police car parked nearby, leaving significant damage in her wake. Eyewitnesses watched in disbelief, capturing the pandemonium on their phones, struggling to comprehend the outrageousness of it all. The aftermath was swift as authorities arrested Chavez, charging her with multiple offenses, including assault on a firefighter, assault with a deadly weapon, and driving under the influence. 15. A case of the fake Karen. Picture this: an officer rolling up to a burglary call, only to take a wrong turn and end up on the wrong street. Classic mix-up, right? Well, that's how our story begins. As the officer approached, he spotted a woman in her vehicle just as she was pulling out of her driveway. With his badge on the line and a serious job to do, he stopped her. But instead of pulling over and cooperating, she decided to throw a bit of a tantrum. Can you blame her? She had no clue what was going on, and suddenly, there's a cop in her face. Now, things escalated quickly. In her attempts to make a getaway, the officer had to reach into the vehicle to turn off the ignition. Talk about a high-stress situation. She wasn't having it, though. According to reports, this lady got all kinds of feisty and allegedly began kicking at the officer and even threw some punches at him. But here's the thing. The video footage doesn't actually show her doing any of those things she was arrested for. So, we're left wondering if this was all a huge misunderstanding, while we're left contemplating if her behavior was just a wild reaction or if there was something deeper. The officer ended up arresting her for battery on a law enforcement officer. The question lingering in the air is whether there was any racial motivation behind this arrest. She happened to be black, and the incident raises eyebrows. Was she simply a Karen in the making, or did the situation highlight some underlying issues? 16. The 18-year-old drama queen. It's a typical day on the road, and suddenly, a flurry of frantic calls flood the police station. Drivers are worried about a potential drunk driver swerving dangerously across lanes. Enter our 18-year-old heroine, who's clearly living her best chaotic life. As the officers roll up, they spot her careening into oncoming traffic and bumping into everything but the kitchen sink. Can you imagine the sight? When the cops try to chat with her, things take a wild turn. Instead of playing nice, she decides to throw a fit. This girl goes full-on feisty, refusing to put her face down as the officers try to regain control. It's like she thinks she's in a wrestling match or something. As the officers struggle to keep her calm, she's kicking her legs like she's training for a karate competition, And just when you think it can't get any crazier, she throws out this gem. "Do you want to choke me out, girl?" Like, whoa there, did they really choke her? Let's not forget, she's still just a kid at 18. 17. Fists fly. On March 5th, 2023, officers arrived at the scene of a domestic disturbance and quickly realized they were stepping into a whirlwind of emotions. This woman was in a full-blown shouting match with her boyfriend. And let's just say she was not in the mood to cooperate with the police. The man claimed she hit him, but she was adamant that she hadn't laid a finger on him. Instead, she insisted that he had pushed her down the stairs, throwing in her own accusations to spice things up. It was a classic case of he said, she said, with each party stuck in their corner and the truth dangling somewhere in the middle. As the officers tried to mediate the situation, they made repeated attempts to calm her down. Unfortunately, she wasn't having it and continued to scream at her boyfriend, completely ignoring the officers' requests. With the tension rising and no end in sight, the police decided it was time to step in more forcefully. That's when the situation really escalated. When they tried to put her in cuffs, she swung into action, throwing a couple of punches like she was in a boxing ring. The officers, determined to restore order, finally managed to restrain her after a chaotic struggle. 18. The blue-haired Karen. At a right-wing event, a leftist Karen found herself in a heated altercation with a man. She got way too close for comfort, following him around and escalating the tension. It wasn't long before the situation turned physical, and the drama intensified. Just when things seemed like they couldn't get any crazier, a cop arrived on the scene. But instead of calming down, the Karen lost it on him. She started swearing, filming the officer, and making wild threats about filing complaints against him. "Just wait until I report you," she shouted, completely oblivious to the absurdity of her outburst. At least this time, she didn't take a swing at the cop, though for a moment, it felt like she might. 19. Aloha, Karen. At Honolulu International Airport, a homeless woman took on the role of yet another Karen, proving that you don't need a home to stir up trouble. Fueled by whatever grievances she had, she launched an attack on a TSA agent, showcasing that classic Karen spirit, always ready to confront anyone nearby. Fortunately, a police officer from California, who was on vacation, jumped into action. He leaped over a barrier to subdue the woman and restore order. This incident serves as a reminder that while a Karen might not have a roof over her head, she certainly knows how to create a scene when something rubs her the wrong way. 20. The tire iron takedown. There's a Karen on the loose, and she's not holding back. Armed with a tire iron and a serious attitude, this barefoot bandit decided to make her presence known by whacking a cop right on the head. It seemed like she might be trying to jack a car, but instead, she ended up picking a fight with law enforcement. In response to her aggressive antics, the cop had no choice but to use some serious force to subdue her. After all, when a Karen is swinging a tire iron, you can't exactly take it easy. Now, thanks to her behavior, this girl's picked up a felony for her unexpected encounter with the law. It's just another reminder that when a Karen goes rogue, it can get downright dangerous. Could you handle a Karen in the wild, or would you be better off making a swift exit?